Sign up for the free Wager Talk text club to gain access to free plays and exclusive discounts. Just text Wager Talk to 33222 to sign up and get a $10 coupon to use on WagerTalk.com.
Welcome into First Pitch Friday, May 7th, WagerTalk's premier MLB betting show. I am Drew Martin, your host, joined by Dave Koken and Bryan Leonard of WagerTalk.com. Guys, we're talking 4 games on the Friday night slate. We got best bets at the end and a special Asian baseball video. Best bets, we're looking to bounce back today. Rough day yesterday, but hopefully we go 2-1, if not 3-0 today. First up, Dave Koken, WagerTalk.com. Dave, welcome in. Happy Friday to you.
Thank you, Drew. Same to you. Looking forward to tonight's action. Hopefully get back in the win column.
Yeah, absolutely. Short and sweet, right back into the win column. Bryan Leonard, welcome in, buddy. Happy Friday to you.
Same to you, sir. I'm very excited. Going to my first baseball game of the year. The local Vegas team's playing tonight, and I just can't wait. It's been a long time since I've been in the ballpark, especially for somebody who goes to spring training and spends a couple weeks there every year. So I'm very excited.
The Aviators. Bryan, it's one of the good scenes in all of sports, really. So I've heard in terms of minor leagues. It's a great experience to get out there, right? If somebody's visiting Vegas, you would let them know to head to a minor league game if there's one?
Oh, yeah. It's out in Summerlin, which is the nicest area of – Dave lives in that general area, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great area. It's got shopping around it, a lot of restaurants, and the park is great. It reminds me of there's a great park in Reno also, which is right by Harrah's, where I usually stay when I'm up there, and they count me. So, yeah, it's 2 great ballparks. If you're ever out here in Nevada and you get tired of losing your money at the casinos, go catch a ball game.
Hopefully you're not losing your money in sports betting tonight.
Really
but
nice
yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah.
I it's just going to second it. It's a really nice ballpark. Lots of restaurants in the area. You've got a casino right down the street if you do want to lose some money. Red Rock's right there. And it's just a really good experience. Very nice time.
Absolutely. I second it as well, guys. So check it out, and hopefully we can find you some winners on the sports betting board. We got first game up here, heading to the East Coast, Dave. We got Arizona Diamondbacks, New York Mets, seeing a total of 7, Mets minus 125. We get Zach Gallen and Doug Peterson going for the Mets. I'll tell you, Dave, looking towards the Diamondbacks here, because doing some research, they actually smashing lefties here, and with the Mets throwing a lefty, I was looking towards the Diamondbacks, Dave. What are you thinking tonight?
No, I would agree with that. You got Zach Gallen's got better numbers in the head-to-head with Peterson. You already mentioned the lefty stats. Arizona has really done well against southpaws in the season. And, I'll throw this in. Diamondbacks have to be thrilled to get out of Miami. They just can't win in that ballpark. But they'll head into New York now. The only one we'll see if this is a fly in the ointment or not. Lindor actually had a decent game last game. He got a hit. Was on base 3 or 4 times. I think he drew some walks. He's going to eventually get going to some extent. But I think the Diamondbacks do stack up as the right side in this ball game, and at about even money, that looks like a pretty good value.
I'm with you, Dave. Now, Bryan, one thing we got to bring in here is the bullpens. I would give an advantage towards the Mets, so maybe look towards the first 5 here. But what's your look here with the D-backs and Mets tonight, Bryan?
Yeah, it's interesting. The D-backs have hit lefties, but yet they're 2-5 on the season when they face a lefty starter. Obviously, their pitchers have not performed well in those games either. I like David Peterson. You take a look at his game scores when he's pitched at home. He's faced 2 really good teams, good hitting teams at home. Philadelphia, he had a 72. He gave up 1 earned run in 6 innings. And then he faced Boston, who's as hot as anybody offensively. He had a 57, giving up 2 earned runs in 6 innings. So he's looked really good at home. As much as I like Zach Gallen, I think the advantage is a little bit here with the Mets. I prefer the Mets side. I thought the line was a little bit cheap in that regard. So for a rarity, I'm looking at something that you guys aren't, although I will have to say that the Mets have just been on the road trip to Philadelphia and St. Louis, and this is their first game back, and that's usually a negative. But I guess I'm a bigger believer in Peterson than a lot of people, but it'll be a fun game to watch regardless.
Yeah, that starts us off here, guys. We got 2 on the East Coast. Then we'll head out west for the late action. Next game up here, Cincinnati and Cleveland battle for Ohio. 7:10 Eastern start, 51 degrees. Light winds there in Cleveland, Brian. We're seeing Wade Miley and Zach Plesac. I'll tell you, Wade Miley, it's interesting to see him still around here in the major leagues. It seems like he's been in MLB for quite some time here, Brian, but his numbers are actually pretty decent. We get Zach Plesac going. He's not been great this year. Pretty up and down, at least from what I can see here, Brian. What are you thinking with the Reds and Indians tonight, Brian Leonard?
Yeah, the Indians have swept Kansas City, and they took 2 out of 3 of Chicago. And now they play, obviously, a non-divisional game, so the game doesn't mean as much. It's for the, they call it the Ohio Cup. When Cincinnati plays Cleveland every year, they try to make it a big deal, but situation for me where Plesac, his last couple starts, he's been much better against Minnesota and Chicago. But if you actually watch the games, he's been a little bit lucky. Yeah. He just normally, like, you take a look at last year, he had a strikeout per inning. And this year he's only had 24 strikeouts in 32 innings. He's one of those guys that I think people just overreacted in the 2019 season. And I love well this year. Wade Miley is one of those guys that, people always want to go against him, but the guy continues to pitch well. In the short last year, he only threw 14 innings. You got to throw that out, but he was under 4 ERA in 2019. And right now he's at 2.67. I prefer the Reds here slightly because the Indians are coming back home after those two big road trips to Chicago and Kansas City, a little bit of a letdown there. And the Indians have been one of those teams that they seem to be able to hit the flamethrowers, but the junk ball pitchers, they don't do well against. And so I prefer Cincinnati in this contest.
Style of pitcher that they perform well against. I like that stat, Brian. Dave, what are you thinking here? The underdog, the better offense with the Reds?
Well, I don't know if it's the better offense or not, because the Reds' offense has been night and day. At home and on the road. I mean, they have just crushed the ball at home. But on the road, they kind of stink. I mean, WRC plus on the road, 65, which is way below average. And it doesn't really, on the road against righties, 64. So, I mean, those are really bad numbers offensively. And they are missing Votto, who's going to be out for a month. So that does put a little hole in their lineup. Don't know about Castellanos' status. He had a back issue. Listed as day-to-day. I am just guessing that they had yesterday off. Probably good to go tonight, but you might want to check on that one. I'd also agree with what Brian was saying about Plesac. I think he's a middle-of-the-rotation guy who got a little bit overrated and is settling back into probably what he's supposed to be, which is a 3 or a 4 starter. He's not awful by any means. He's definitely a starting pitcher, but I think maybe got a little bit overhyped because he got off to such a great start in the major leagues, and he's gotten solved a little bit since then. The walks, the strikeouts. He's not walking a lot of guys, but he has been having some pitch count issues in that he's going deep counts with a lot of hitters. So they're getting to see a lot of his pitches. Miley's just solid. The guy's rock solid. The Indians' offense isn't any good. I think you got to makings of an under here, despite the fact that I didn't exactly sing Plesac's praises. The Reds' offense is just going to have to show me something on the road, which they haven't done. And I think Miley will do well. I like the under in this game for at least the first 5.
All right, good stuff, Dave. We got third game up coming back to you, Dave. We got Seattle Mariners and the Texas Rangers, 8:10 Eastern first pitch. Looks like some wind blowing out to left center here. Flexen going for the Mariners and Fulte going for the Texas Rangers. Mike Foltynewicz here. Kind of find himself this year. 21 strikeouts, 2 walks in his last 5 starts here, Dave. Flexen, a guy I haven't really seen pitch much. Didn't have any strikeouts last time out, but a decent season numbers. You interested in getting involved here with the Rangers as short home favorites tonight?
No, not really. I think maybe on value, you can make a little bit of a case for Seattle. I would give Flexen a slight edge over Foltynewicz. I've seen a lot of Flexen because I watched him pitch last year in KBO, and he's a more confident pitcher now than he was previously with the Mets. He throws more strikes. He's got a better arsenal now. I think getting down to Korea did wonders for him, as more mentally than physically. Fultonevich, I don't know. I'm expecting him to blow up at any point because I just don't think he's very good. Texas is in good form right now. The Rangers coming off a really good series at Minnesota where they beat up on the Twins bullpen, and they're one game under 500 right now, which is shocking to me. I think maybe this is a spot where I prefer Seattle. Not really getting the price I wanted, though. I would have thought, hey, Mariners are going to be plus money here. Not really getting it. So at this number, I would not play the game. But if you're asking me to pick a winner, I'll take Seattle.
All right, Brian, what are you thinking tonight, Rangers and Mariners?
Yeah, Flexen's been a different pitcher since he's come back to the U.S. The concern I have is his pitch he throws mostly is his fastball. And his fastball has been his least effective pitch. All of his auxiliary pitches have been terrific this year, but he still gets hit with the fastball, and that is a concern when that is your major pitch. If he can stay away from the fastball, and he has limited it since the last time he pitched in the majors, but it's still throwing it too much. If you take a look at all of his stats, that's the one where he has not been having success. He's been having success with everything else. As for Fultonevich, last year he was hurt, didn't pitch very much, but you can definitely tell when you take a look at mile per hour on all of his pitches last year when you go into that. His four seam was 90.9. This year it's 94.3. You take a look at all of his pitches, he's gained about 3 or 4 miles an hour from last year when he was hurt. So you just have to throw that out the window. I'm with Dave, though. I'm not a huge Fulte fan. You look at his barrel percent right now, 12.1. He's a guy that, as Dave's pointed out, could be blown up at any time. I actually like the over in this game a little bit. I think we've got both pitchers that are a little bit overrated from what you take a look at their advanced stats. And it wouldn't surprise me if this is a higher scoring game. So I prefer the over.
Why not just throw something in? I want to see how this plays out. I think there are some signs the Rangers might be a little psyched out in their own ballpark. Their offensive numbers are not good there. And we've heard the ball doesn't carry like it did in the other Rangers ballpark. And you look at the WRC plus for Texas at home as opposed to the road, it's a lot lower at home. So this is something that bears watching because this might be one of those weird teams that ends up doing better on the road offensively than they do at home. And that can get into a team's head if it continues. I think this is kind of an important period of time for the Rangers. They've got to swing the bats better at home than they've been doing so far.
And Dave, just to follow up to that, do you think there's any reason why? Is it just kind of happen chance? That's how you look at it, that they're hitting it better on the road than at home? Or do you think there's a reason why in that ballpark that it's happening?
I don't think the ball, my guess is the ball just doesn't carry as well in this ballpark as it did in the other ballpark. Okay. I can't give you any science on that, but it sure seems that way. Because the Rangers, they just obliterate the baseball on their old ballpark, and these balls seem to be dying on the track.
Absolutely. Good point there, Dave. Brian, we got one game left. First, want to give a shout out to the chat box. Rara, Chance, Paco, Jake, Abby Jackson, all of you. Welcome in, and thanks for all your comments here. And please smash the like button if you are liking the content. If you're watching on replay, missing the live chat, but that's okay. Feel free to leave a comment below. We got Padres and Giants in the nightcap here, Brian. Last game on the card, 9:45 Eastern, slated for the first pitch here. 57 degrees, looks like 15-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. We got Anthony Desclafani and Blake Snell here. Looks like Snell in the pods, commanding a minus 135 price tag, 7.5 being the total. Looking towards the underdog here, Brian. What are you thinking tonight?
As for just a final comment on the Texas situation, even though the batters don't like it, I'm sure the pitchers do because in the summer that's a launch. It's been a launching pad in Texas. So this stadium's playing a little bit differently, and I think they prefer that because if you take a look at what Texas has from a power standpoint, they don't have a whole lot of power other than Joey Gallo, a couple other guys that may hit 20, but it's probably a better park for their ball players that they have on the roster right now. But interesting that this is actually the third time Desclafani and Snell have faced the opposition this year in this small sample size. San Diego hosted San Francisco twice this season already, and it was a situation that I've been on DeSclafani a lot this year. I talked earlier about if you go back and take out his starts when he played in Cincinnati and a launching pad there. This year, he's gone on the road, and his only bad start all year was on the road to Philadelphia, another good hitter's park. Every other start, he's been terrific. His game scores in the other games, 56, 67, 64, 89, 55. The guy's been terrific when he's not in a ballpark that really favors the hitters. And obviously, San Francisco's a little bit different this year, the way they rearranged into the bullpens and everything, but it's still overall a decent pitcher's park. Blake Snell, on the other hand, all of his starts this year have been at home, except for he had to go play the Dodgers in Pittsburgh, and he has 51 and 33 game scores there. So he hasn't faced San Francisco on the road. Both of his starts were at home. From a San Francisco standpoint, they're 7-4 against lefties this season and 10-3 at home. Now, the only drawback for playing San Francisco here is they just came back from a road trip. There was in San Diego and Colorado. And we kind of talked about that earlier. When a team leaves Colorado, the hitters have to readjust a little bit here. So it may be a lower scoring game. But I like San Francisco here. I think the value is on the home team here. The Dodgers just played San Francisco and Pittsburgh at home. Now they're back on the road. And really, in San Diego, you look at their last 4 games, they scored 4, 1, 2, and 1. And that was against these Giants, and 3 games against Pittsburgh. So San Diego's not hitting right now. I like the San Francisco team this year. I think they're undervalued, and obviously they're playing very well. I like them at home in this game.
Like it, Bryan. And Dave, what are you thinking tonight in the nightcap?
I think I'll echo what Bryan said. I think it's a pretty even matchup in terms of DeSclafani and Snell. I don't think there's a lot to choose there. And I don't think there's a whole lot to choose offensively. I think these teams are pretty close from that standpoint. The Padres lineup got a little bit overrated, and the Giants lineup probably a little underrated. They're pretty close to even. So if you're looking at the game as somewhat of a coin flip, then you see you're going to get value in terms of the Giants. The Dodgers are simply priced. The Padres are simply priced a little higher than they ought to be, probably on the reputation of Snell, which is a legit reputation, but he's certainly not out pitching DeSclafani right now. So to me, the only side here in terms of getting bang for your buck would be the Giants.
I agree, Dave. And it looks like the chat box, guys, is lighting up. Hey, Bryan, do you have any opinion here on the day game going, the Pirates and the Cubs going up? We got Lewis asking any thoughts on this Cubs-Pirates game, trying to show a little love here to the chat box. If you don't have anything, that's fine, Bryan.
No, I didn't care for it much earlier, and the line's coming up on Chicago a little higher. I'm going to pass on that one.
Yeah, Lewis, I was looking towards the Cubs minus the price tag, but it just got a little too steep for me as well. Dave, do you have anything real quick on the day game?
No. Cubs should be the favorite in the game. Both pitchers are completely unreliable. I don't like games like that. You don't know what you're going to get out of Cahill from one game to the next. And the same thing can be said for Davies. And that's the problem. If they were just bad, then you could say, all right, well, take a shot at the over. But they're both really erratic. Cahill, when Cahill's locating his stuff, he gets a ton of ground balls and actually puts up good numbers. And, Davies throws an assortment of junk up there, but when he's locating, he gets people out. So I just, those are guys I prefer to stay away from. They're just, when you get inconsistent pitchers, to me, you're basically just flipping a coin.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're laying down there, Dave. We do have Alex saying wind blowing in the Cubs game, but yeah, with the pitchers, I don't know about that either. So not much for you, Alex, but love the chat box and some opinion here in it. So have at it, guys, if you're touching the day game. We do have best bets coming up here, but first going to throw it over to Tokyo Brandon for a KBO or Japanese baseball play, the Asian quick pick. Tokyo Brandon, take it away.
Tokyo Brandon here with Friday night's Asian Baseball Quick Pick. Today, the Seibu Lions go to Fukuoka to take on the SoftBank Hawks. Matsumoto is the starter for the Seibu Lions, while Martinez gets the start for SoftBank. Matsumoto has a career 7+ ERA against the SoftBank Hawks. Martinez had a nice outing in his last game, but in his career he walks more than 4 guys per game. I expect this game to go pretty high. My numbers have this at 9.2 runs, and right now the early line is 6.5. So we're going to go with over 6.5 in this game. 7 is also acceptable. That's the play for Friday night. I'll be back with more. Thanks.
And Tokyo Brandon has let us know that over 7.5 he likes as well, which seems to be market wide as we are going live right now with first pitch, guys. So if you're tailing him, best of luck. And he likes it over 7.5. Time for best bets. Bryan Leonard, WagerTalk.com over the last 4 seasons, guys. #1 at MLB at WagerTalk, and he started to find it of late. A little bit of buy low here with Bryan out the gate, and now he's starting to see it well on the diamond. So Bryan, where are you going for best bets, buddy?
Yeah, 3 straight days of winners, swept the board yesterday, and had a 4% play on the no-hitter the other day. Thank you, John Means. It's been a nice run.
Right.
It took me a while to get started, but hopefully we can make up for lost revenue here. Just one final thing about the Pittsburgh Cubs game. The line's 7.5. We talked about the wind blowing in. That's how you could tell if the wind's blowing in or out. It'll be 7.5 blowing in. It'll be 12.5 blowing out. If it's somewhere in the middle, it's pretty dead on the win situation. We just touched on my best bet, and this will probably be my only play I put up on the site today. So don't buy my baseball today. You're getting it here for free, and that's San Francisco. We just talked about this a minute ago, so it's fresh in everybody's mind. So I won't take up any more time.
All right, fair enough, Bryan. And Dave Koken, #1 at MLB last year, this year as well. So Dave, where are you going for best bets tonight?
I think I've slipped out of the #1 spot for this year because I've just been horrible the last week and a half in baseball. I've gone the opposite way, just made a ton of money early, and I've been steadily giving it back. I can't win a close game right now. Hopefully that turns tonight. I played 1 game, and I like it. We'll see if it gets there. Game I like but didn't play, and if I were going better, I would have put this on the card. It's the Reds and Indians to stay under the total for the first 5. I think Miley has a good chance to continue his good pitching against this Indians lineup. And as previously mentioned, the Reds just don't hit at all on the road. Their analytics on the road are about as bad as it gets, which is shocking considering their lineup. So I think that's a low-scoring game early on. Plesac and Miley, first 5 under.
All right, good stuff from Dave Koken. And guys, I'm going where Bryan Leonard went, just a little bit different flavor here in the nightcap. San Diego Padres, San Francisco Giants. I'm going to the first 5, San Francisco Giants plus 123, risk 100 to win 123. Going to cut out the bullpens because the Padres I have ranked as a 10 slots ahead of the Giants bullpen. But really, Dave and Bryan both talked about it earlier. DeSclafani, I'd put him right up against Snell. Actually, this is a rematch of a May 1st game between the Giants and the Padres. DeSclafani went 6 innings, 3 earned runs, only 2 walks and 3 hits. Whereas Snell, yes, he only gave up 1 earned run, but 5 hits and 3 walks. He threw 91 pitches and only 52 strikes. I think it favors the Giants this time around, at least for the first 5. So plus 123 on the Giants. Dave Koken, what do you got, buddy?
Just mention those 3 runs that DeSclafani gave up. They were the first 3 batters, I believe. 2 guys got on, and Machado hit a home run. He gave him nothing after that.
Even more reason to look towards the dog, guys. I got him first 5. Bryan Leonard for the full game. The recap of the best bets here, guys, with the Asian baseball play as well. Over 7.5 in the Hawks for Tokyo Brandon and Dave Koken. Reds, Indians, first 5. Under 4. You can see the best bets there, guys. This is the Friday show for Dave Koken, Bryan Leonard. I am Drew Martin. Thanks for tuning in. Please smash the like button if you're liking the content. And again, guys, if you're watching on replay, feel free to leave a comment below. We will be back on Monday, same time, same place. Come back and join us. Best of luck with your bets. Have a fun, safe weekend, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Are you tired of games of the year and 100-unit locks? If so, check out the professional handicappers at WagerTalk.com today. We leave all that nonsense for the other guys. And for a limited time, new users get their first daily picks purchase up to $40 for only $1. $1? Whose idea was that? Johnny Detroit? I guess so. To redeem this special, just go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper and their picks package using coupon code TRYWagerTalk when checking out.